Happy Kwanzaa, and welcome back to another edition of the Armenian Council for Truth and Journalism. I am your sometimes gracious host, Thaddeus Preston, aka Nick Way. Follow me at Nick Way. Follow us at the ACTJ. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, and chop it up in the comments with us tonight as we go into the post-Christmas holiday and get into the pagan holidays that follow after Christmas. And we cruise to the new year. Let's end this on a high note because, God damn it, Sean, 2020 has been a motherfucking dumpster fire.
It really has, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Flaming, stinking.
Yeah, I mean, really, what else? What else do we need to happen this year for us to be reminded of just
Aliens.
how bad it sucks?
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens. You think that aliens?
I've been saying this since September. Yeah. Aliens.
Yeah,
we're missing.
What do you think the aliens are going to look like, though?
They look like the Greys, or they might be already among us.
Yeah.
No.
So man. you're not on Team Predator or anything like that.
I'm more on
like
Team
maybe
Xenomorph.
Like some Xenomorphs.
Yeah, I think I'm on. Yeah, I would think because I think that would probably, as people are getting their faces ripped off, I think that would probably cause us to stop, fist fighting in the streets and turn our guns on the people who are, or the things that are ripping our faces off. I don't know, maybe. I don't know what they're gonna look like, but I do know what they're gonna sound like. And that voice from above is Alien J.
I'm glad that Jay's there for us. It's nice.
It's very nice. Great. It's great. Yeah. So, share. We are in the process, I should probably say, of waiting for our special guest to show up.
Esteemed guest. He
esteemed
really is.
guest to show up.
Real nice guy.
No, man, I'm feeling him. A fellow vet who's actually been in a lot more shit than I was downrange. There's always someone who you want on your side in times like this where you might have to take it to the streets, and you might have to take it to the streets for real.
Yeah, I mean, it really is remarkable at some point, especially for a guy like me that never served. When you see and you speak with men who have had that kind of experience, and we're lucky enough to have Fury on this show. I mean, we don't give him enough love, but for those of you that don't know, Fury is just an amazing guy. He's been through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And
one of these days on a special edition of the ACTJ, when we're behind a Patreon paywall and making fat money, we'll have him give you the origin story of Skullfuck. All right. But
all the fat money.
All that fat money. Yeah.
But Christmas holidays, obviously there's a lot of things moving today. What stuck out in your mind on this fine political shit hell that we enter into when we decide to pay attention to what's going on in the world?
I don't know. Big Stu Peters. Big up to big shout out to Stu Peters. He's dropping some bombs left and right. Also, stimulus checks, baby. All right. The Congress is about to make it rain, baby.
Oh yeah, Congress. They love us so much. I'm so glad.
They are our.
I got to tell you, when I think of Congress, the first thing that pops into my head is just like sugar plums.
Or crack pipe.
Well, I mean, come on, we're in New Mexico. It's not crack here.
Well, actually, it's not a crack pipe in New Mexico. It would be a meth pipe.
Exactly. It'd be a glass whistle. We've been over this.
Yeah. I think we had that discussion during our vaunted episode about Hunter Biden being an absolute crackhead and the Fredo Corleone of the Biden crime family. With that said, I think so that passed today. The Congress is now debating again to up that $600 that every man, woman, and child who makes under $115,000 adjusted gross can get. Individuals making with adjusted grosses of $75,000 or less, $87,000 and up, you don't get jack shit. Individual families get that, but either way, so the $600 definitely coming.
I've got a better idea at this point. Everybody just needs to go back to work.
Oh. Shot. You're in the old world. That's clearly.
Talk to me.
Clearly, the new normal is to just have people sit at the house and collect checks.
Oh.
And to have our intellectual over-credentialed betters tell us from their pajamas behind their, flat screens, gamer chairs, and jobs working from home that we need to keep staying home.
What's wrong with that?
But what is Alien J? What is Alien J?
Did I show off my pajamas there? Is that a little too much?
Too much pajamas.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do it
again.
again.
Do it again. Look at the lumberjack. Did Shar approve of this? Oh my god! Ah! Go to commercial.
Got it. Do you got chopos? Do you have cute little chopos on with your little lumberjack?
Let's see.
No, man. It's just like got bare feet.
Oh god! Barefoot and pregnant.
Oh no!
One of these days that'll be the show that really hits is when I go barefoot and pregnant for everybody.
Because we've learned in 2020, men can have periods and be pregnant too.
Yeah. Yep.
COVID-20. That's what COVID-20 is for.
That's what it's doing. COVID-20 will make everyone sterile and soy boys even more soy.
I tell you what, it's getting rough out there. It's definitely getting rough out there.
Is it?
Yeah, with the
Hard
soy
out there
boys.
for a pimp. Ain't it right? Ain't it hard out there for a pimp?
It's super hard out there for a pimp.
You know what? Speaking of pimps.
Uh-oh. What you got?
I had internet.
There he is.
Yeah, sorry, I had some issues going on with this stuff.
Oh, we have issues all the time. Don't worry about it.
It's a pile of
Welcome,
shit. Really.
Staff Sergeant.
Really.
How are we doing this wonderful evening?
What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
Not too much.
Well, it's another day in paradise. How are you feeling about the world lately?
It's going to shit, but I'm gonna enjoy it on my new Xbox. So
Yeah. Is that the plan? Is
Small things, baby, small
Xbox until the end of the year?
Xbox until it's time to do men's shit, and then I'll go do men's shit.
Yeah.
I like that.
I suppose we'll be saying hello in DC again here soon. Is the plan that I hear?
I will unofficially be there. This event is not a sneaky event. This is an undercover event, a very different event that we've never done before.
Yeah.
It's going to be a new thing that we're doing. So pretty excited.
Yeah. How do you feel about the future of this country right now?
I mean, I've been worried about it for a long time, years and years and years. I mean, just growing up around college campuses, I've known that we've been pretty doomed for a hot minute. My mom has been teaching on college campuses pretty much my entire life, so I've seen the indoctrination for the last 30 years. It's just gotten really insanely crazy. Now we're just kind of at that pivotal point where they've indoctrinated so many people for so long, and all these people have now grown up. They own companies. They're elected officials. They're the CEOs over the companies. They're the ones in charge of the internet service providers and our credit card processing payment things. And it's definitely an interesting time to be alive, because everything we do and say is held against us, and we are just being shunned away. Luckily, we have a few people brave enough to stand up to help out, but right now there's too many couch warriors, too many keyboard warriors on our side, and I'm still trying to figure out what it's going to be that's going to spark that light under people's asses to actually get them motivated to do something.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, I think even in our conversation when we briefly met outside the hotel, that was the sentiment that we see, and that's something that's kept me going back in whatever capacity I can. Obviously, I'm there trying to show people, and all I do is get censored left and right. They've taken away our freedom of speech in many respects. And it doesn't seem like the government loves us very much. Obviously, that's something Thad and I were talking about earlier, was that when you look at Congress and what they did today, is they don't care about us.
We are.
And none of them do.
We are a malevolent God. We are a graceful and generous God. And it's bad. And I've, as someone who is the resident probably nerd and stuff from a tech angle, they're trying very slowly. I mean, it's already bad enough that I saw the Valley go from like this very techno-libertarian thing to like, the fuck you guys talking about 4 to 5 genders? What do you mean? What do you mean socialism is not a bad thing? You're sitting here telling me that socialism is not a bad thing, as we said at a very expensive bar in San Francisco during the boom, the second .com boom of Web 2.0, where Facebook and Twitter emerged. And these people just don't understand how we got here. And now they're trying to literally code this indoctrination that they've been indoctrinated with for the past 30 years. They're trying to code it into the infrastructure. You know, I mean, you talked about the payment processors. That is correct. You talked about the censorship. That's something they took from wherever the hell they got their high pollutant computer science degrees, and they're now moving that into day-to-day stuff. And you see it all the time from their AI researchers who think for some odd reason that they're somehow oppressed, even though they make, you know, 6 figures a year, to all kinds of things. And I've seen it just kind of creep into the press. Tech was venerated for the better part of the beginning part of the decade. Right about 2010, as I guess a new cadre of journalists came into the tech scene, you started hearing and writing stories about not enough women in tech, inequality, this and that. That is now what has manifested itself into being like, all right, well, let's watch what we say, let's watch what we post, let's watch. That's just disgusting. It's not what tech is about. And what you build is a techno tyranny, similar to China. They emulate, they worship what the Chinese Communist Party is able to do in that part of the world. Worship it. They think they can codify it. They think it can make code out of it. And I think that's what worries me more than anything else. But enough about that. I don't know much about you, Staff Sergeant, man, but I want you to introduce yourself to the audience. Who is Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, man?
Well, it's actually SSG. SSGT would be Marine Corps or Air Force. So SSG is Staff Sergeant for the.
That's my bad.
I'm an Army retired 82nd Airborne. Roger.
I wanted to put it in.
You told me, and I fucked that up, Dad. What do you want, man?
I'm sorry, man.
And I fucked things.
And the Space Force. They took on the SSG.
Oh, the Space Force.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Okay.
Guardians now. I got the Space Force. He went Air Force to Space Force season. He went from an airman to a guardian.
Hey, I don't mind it. I don't really care. I mean, everything's a fucking weird joke anyways. No, I mean, at least, you know, Trump has a sense of humor and is a movie buff. I mean, I'd rather have a guy who says brash things and names our military elite after movies than, you know, the guy that doesn't know where the fuck he is and shits himself.
Brain bleed? Yeah. Brain bleed is worrying. Definitely worrying.
Yeah,
so the floor is yours, sir.
So, born in Charlotte, North Carolina, grew up around college campuses, mostly at Clemson University, and then at University of South Carolina and some other places.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I lived when I was a kid. I was basically homeschooled. My mom was a single parent, and I grew up learning how to use Flash and Adobe products and all that stuff as a child as it was coming into age. So I would sit in on lectures and things like that and learn how to do all that stuff at a very young age. I later decided to get into the DJ scene, like I guess like a lot of kids did back then, and I was a DJ for a hot minute at Ybor City in Tampa, Florida. And then my brother got shot, who joined the Marines after 9/11, and that kind of forced me to, you know, be a man and go do something with myself. So I decided to join the military. I told the recruiter, he goes, you know, he's trying to give me smooth talk, and I said, look, you're wasting your time. I said, I want combat. I want to go kill these motherfuckers. Send me over there as quick as possible. And he's like, well, shit, this is awesome. He's like, yeah, I was like, just put me wherever you need me. He's like, you know what artillery is? I was like, nope, not really. I was like, I don't care. I was like, do they kill people? He goes, yeah. He goes, sign me up. And then I found out that I joined into the MOS that was basically the dumbest people in the military, the lowest IQ, but they're great guys. They're strong, you know, brute brawn men. But they're like a great family, but there's just not that much intelligence there. And it was very funny to be around these guys because it's like a different wavelength of, you know, talking and stuff. It's like grunting and fighting each other the whole time. And then me growing up on the campus all the time, I was used to like debating and having like intellectual conversations in a sense, and it just didn't work out too good. So I usually just get punched and beat up. So I made my way through the military, never get in trouble at all. Get promoted a lot quicker than everyone else because I was, you know, smarter than a lot of those guys in there, sadly. I made my way through pretty quick, get 2 field promotions. And retire out as a staff sergeant. I did 2 tours Iraq, 2 tours Afghanistan, multiple Purple Hearts, and never once did my job. When we were going in, the first deployment to Iraq, they stopped using a lot of artillery. They kept it on some bases, but we started reclassing, not really reclassing, but retraining to do convoy security, where we did route clearance and convoy security up and down some of the main MSRs, which is the main supply route, where all we did was get blown up and shot at and go to funerals. Then I went to Afghanistan, and we were turned from an artillery unit to what's called a maneuver team. And then there we did air assault, where you'd fly in a helicopter, land on a mountaintop, and ambush the Taliban, or we would do mounted patrols or dismounted patrols and get into firefights, clear out culottes, which are homes that they live in Afghanistan to look for IED makers and things like that, and then find the explosives, the homemade explosives, cordon off the area, and then call in explosive ordnance techs that were specialists, elite groups that were from New Zealand and stuff like that. The Kiwis had like some of the best explosive ordnance guys. So we would work a lot with those dudes. Fast forward to 2008, I get him a reporter named Michael Hastings who's embedded with my unit. He follows me around for the summer. Him and I become really close friends. He says, "Hey man, you're good on camera. If you ever decide to get out, you should give me a call and I can get you a job doing like military correspondence or be like a military expert on Fox or CNN or something when they go to a scene and they're talking about combat somewhere or whatever." So I get out, do that, and then he dies. I get a weird email in June of 2000. What was it? 13? Yeah, June of 2013. And he sends me an email saying, "Hey, I'm working on a new thing right now." He was really big into looking into John Brennan and Obama and stuff like that on overreach as far as spying into Americans here in the country. And he sends me this really weird email that's very cryptic, and he goes, "Hey, this is for you," and it's sent to me and Ben BuzzFeed, the guy that's over BuzzFeed. And him and I got this email.
Ben Smith when he was
yes,
over. Okay.
Yeah. Him and I both got that email, but he didn't say anything. And I had spoken with Michael just prior to that. And then I get this email saying he's going off the radar and underground. And then later on that day, he died. His car blew up in the middle of the night in Hollywood, and it only blew up on the driver's side where the steering wheel was, just enough to kill him. So I released the email that I got from Michael to KTLA in LA, which is their Fox affiliate there. That got me on there locally. And then I went on Megyn Kelly, where a man named Alex Jones saw me. And then he had me come on his show a few times. I'd never know who he was. I'd never heard of InfoWars before my entire life. But I started going on his show to talk about some of the stuff there and then to talk about military things. And then that turned into a job there. I left when I had my daughter, and now I work at Censor.tv. That's kind of like the Cliff's Notes.
Well, I was glad you could get all the plugs in there. I was told
Get them all in there.
I
man.
was told not to ask you about InfoWars, but
Yeah,
think some people might be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why anybody say don't ask about it. I mean, I don't really care.
That's what they told me, man. I don't know.
Who's they?
I'm not going to get into that. That's just what they told me. So, of course, I'm obliged to ask.
Right on. So now I'm working at Censor.tv. I'm a national, what do you call it? A national organizer for the Proud Boys. I help organize all the major national events. And that's a really good position for me because with my military background and planning and all that stuff and, maps and security and all that, it really helps me bring in a good element to the planning team. So I work with the president, Enrique, and some of the other leaders, and we put together pretty good events. And now we have created something new that will be coming out here pretty soon that I'm pretty sure people will be excited to know about, but I'm not really able to talk about too much more than that. But that's where we're at now.
There's probably a fair amount of people out there who have a really skewed idea of what Proud Boys are. I know that even myself, obviously, like my first introduction to it was when I first went to DC the first time, and I was just going there for whatever reasons I was going. And I observed, a few guys doing what they were doing. But then as I got to know a lot of you and even meeting you outside the hotel, obviously, you start to see a different picture. Why do you think the media is pushing so hard against Proud Boys right now?
The media is not pushing hard against Proud Boys. The media is pushing hard against anything that's good, anything that's wholesome, anything that's Americana, anything that's pro-liberty, freedom, the family, the nuclear family, respecting your wife, having a kids, not just looking straight to abortion as your first option. Really being a good human being that wants to be successful and help other people around him to be successful. And that's why our group is a threat to them, because we promote that freedom, that liberty. And we don't give a shit what color people are, but everybody knows if you look at Alinsky's playbooks, you look at in these radical playbooks, the first thing you do is tag your enemy to be racist, and you watch them. And it's basically like a boxing term. You've got you up against the ropes. So some people decide to stay against the ropes and try to battle it out. But all you do is get tired, and then you eventually get your ass kicked. What we've learned is just not to give a fuck about optics. The only people I care about what they think about me are my parents, my wife, my children, my closest friends, and everybody who actually knows me. If you want to take the time to get to know me, you're always going to like me. But I'm not going to sit here against the ropes and try to every day in and day out explain that I'm not a racist. I know I'm not in the down in my heart. I know I'm not a bad guy. I know I'm a good father, a good husband, a good friend. And at the end of the day, that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. And I think that's what a lot of more people need to start understanding is get off the ropes, live your life, and don't worry about what a bunch of, jokers who want Marxism in our country think about you. They already hate you anyway. You could be saint. You could be a saint. You could be Jesus himself. You could have come back and walked on water and you're ready to bring everybody home. You're still going to be the bad guy. It's not going to matter. Donald Trump could cure cancer. He'd still be the bad guy. He would be the bad guy because that's going to be a hit on Big Pharma. And that's a whole other story. But anything that's good is attacked and anything that's bad is idolized and loved and pushed across everything. I mean, listen to the music now. Listen to the all the stuff that we see on TV. It's bad. Rape, murder, shoot. It just seems like every day everything is horrible and there's nothing good happening. But really deep down, there's a lot of good shit going on. We just don't promote it because people would wake up, they'd see that things okay.
I was remarking to my moon today, and that's what I call her. And a lot of people that have known me for a long time know that my life has been anything but ordinary, especially when it comes to, my relationship with my ex-wife. But I was just talking about this country and all the horrible shit that we've allowed to slide. And we wonder why we're so morally corrupt and why nobody wants to stand up for anything. And you look around, it's obvious to me at this point. It's not even a question anymore. We are a corrupt people. Our society is corrupt. Why are we surprised that our government is corrupt?
I mean, that's beautiful, but that's beautiful. I could have let Sergeant Biggs talk all night, but the true question that everyone wants to know is: are you a white supremacist? See how silly that is,
it's
right?
Stupid is what it is.
You just kind of spouted like, man, that sounds actually fairly conservative. That sounds really like, but it's like, yeah, but aren't you a white supremacist? It's like, well, no, the Proud Boys are. I've had to do this battle for years too. Actually, a couple of years now. So it's like, what of the Proud Boys is white supremacist? I remember when it was like a joke, and then some of the jokes were actually very serious. I was like, yeah, venerate the housewife, venerate the entrepreneur, promote, things that are conservative. That's the problem. It's a kind of a punk rock way of promoting relatively conservative values.
Yep.
I can tell you for a fact, in the African American community, there's most of us who are of the age I am who have seen this coming for a very long time. I tend to tell my friends a lot in the African American community that like reparations, particularly guys who are hardcore about reparations. It's like, dude, I live in a Mountain West state where there is an Indian reservation. Let me show you what reparations do. It destroys a society.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Particularly when you take away their spirituality.
Well, it destroys the culture too. I mean,
it destroys the culture. It destroys initiative.
Well, look, everybody talks about the West being the best, right? Within the Proud Boys, that's the thing, right, Joe? Am I mistaking that?
That's true.
And it really is, because it has given people the opportunity to express their culture in ways that they probably wouldn't have under any sort of conquering power.
Yeah, ask the Uyghurs in China.
There is nothing perfect in this world. Colonization happened. What are you going to do about it? You're going to cry over spilled milk and ruin probably the best country that the world's ever seen when it came to increasing freedom. And this is what breaks my heart about all of it, is I look at all these people and I understand they're upset. I understand all these different gripes. I understand, women's equality and feminism and all these fucking fantastic things, right? As best I can from my fucking male perspective, but I'm toxic.
Oh my God, you're so privileged. Stop talking.
But at some point you have to realize that what we have here is beautiful. And if we just let it fucking die, what comes next? And I think we're seeing what comes next. These motherfuckers want to come along and tell us that we're their guinea pigs in their big experiment. We're their guinea pigs. That's what they want to tell us. They've admitted in the WHO. They say, well, the vaccine, we haven't really proven that it will stop transmission or stop infection, but go ahead and take the fucking vaccine anyways. Like, what kind of cognitive dissonance do you have to be going through to believe that this is okay, this is acceptable? And we all make jokes, and it's like, I'm the dog in the fire, right? I'm the dog in the fire that says everything's fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. And I was sitting here tonight and I was remarking at the fire, and and everybody that knows Shar comes up to me and she's like, oh, what's your deal? And I was like, everything's my fucking deal right now.
I mean, this is true. It's kind of
I've
depressing.
ranted enough.
It's kind of depressing, right? I mean, I try not to take the whole the whole bottle of red pills and maybe even pop in a couple blacks. Though sometimes it's necessary. But yeah, I
just as long as it's not the narrative pill.
The narrative pill, yeah. Like for instance, like they've completely.
We don't want to use the
They've completely blue-pilled the whole public about the need of vaccinations, right? The vaccine, so like, oh yeah, like it won't stop transmission. No shit. It's an inoculation. It was never meant to stop transmission. It's there to stop you from getting deathly ill and dying. That's the whole point of inoculation.
Yeah, but the whole point of this one is just prove
it's silly because it doesn't make any sense anymore.
It's just to prove your compliance. Joe, what's your opinion on vaccines, man?
Yeah, this proves your compliance.
Yeah,
if you want to do anything worse than that, making you wear the face burqa, then I mean that's that.
I got a comment today on Parler. This guy goes, "Look at you, how you're just too good to wear the mask. Put on the fucking mask," and it goes in all caps.
Fuck off.
And I go, "Wow, look at you." I said, you trust your government so much. I said, you listen, you obey. I said, they've got your boot on your head forcing this on you. I said, you're a fucking modern day slave. I said, you are sitting there and you want them to have all the power. You want them to tell you what you can and can't do. You're so hungry and eager to obey. I said, this country was founded on people who wanted to get away from that, who wanted freedom, who wanted to choose what they could or couldn't do with their bodies, with their families and things like that. Not to have the government come in and tell us, yes, do this, yes, obey, listen. There's nothing cool or punk rock about going, yeah, I'll comply. That's like the gayest, worst fucking thing that you could ever do. The most punk thing that you could do is be like that lady I saw in that video. The nurse is handing her the mask and she's saying, no, I've had enough. I'm not doing this,
Yeah.
And it's just like, at some point in time, enough people need to just stand up and go, I'm not fucking doing it. Like I got so inspired when I saw those storage workers that worked at that looked like a warehouse, almost like an Amazon warehouse or whatever, packages and all that. And the safety officer, the health department or whatever came in along with the sheriff department. And they said, we need to shut you guys down due to COVID. And they said, no, we're not shutting down. We're going to keep working and get the fuck off our property. And what happened? The health department worker left, the sheriff department left, and nothing's happened since. That's what we need to do.
Americans have to stand up and tell people to get the fuck off of their property because that's the whole point.
There's nothing. We should not be complying to this. We should not be sitting here and allowing the businesses that we've bled for, that we've saved, that we've worked for our entire asses just to build something to give to our children and to create a legacy here on this earth, to pass something down that they could have and make their own. We shouldn't sit there and go, no, we're just going to throw it away because the government says so. Oh, yes, let me put my mask on. Let me socially distance. But then I get on the fucking airplane and I'm stuck together like goddamn sardines in a can. No, that makes no sense.
That's the fucking worst is when you're on an airplane and you find yourself in this situation where if you don't comply, you know that the plane's going to get turned around. When I was headed from Denver out to D.C., that's how it was. There was a bunch of people. They were boisterous. They were belligerent. And they were like, fuck the mask. But in reality, I was sitting there in my seat and I'm going, can you fucking people just sit down and wear the fucking mask because I got to get to DC?
Yeah.
How fucked up is that?
I want to make a video.
A guy like me who totally agrees with them, and I'm over here going, this is fucking bullshit. I paid this much money for a fucking ticket. Now you're going to start to dictate to me that I got to cover my face because asymptomatic transmission has been proven false, but let's just keep fucking pretending that that's real. I'm sick of this. It's fucking gaslighting all over the fucking place. It's fucking
and they keep moving the goalposts.
Oh, the goalposts don't even.
That's like, oh, the goalpost was over there. No, now it's over here. No, now it's over here. Now it's over. Now we just need you to basically get down and comply.
Yeah, the goalpost has all four parts of the goalpost are those Roombas, and they're just.
Oh my god! Joe, getting back to that point because that's something I feel very deeply when we talk about punk rock, right? And I have all these punk rock friends from over the years that just think I'm a total fucking bootlicker right now because I've stood with guys like you. And it's like I just don't even get it. It goes back to what you're saying, where it's like, okay, you guys want to sit here and talk about rebellion and fuck the government and everything else, and here you are. You're fucking licking the boot, you fucking idiots.
What's more punk rock than being Joe Biggs? I am like one of the most banned people in the world. Alex Jones even gave me his banned award.
I didn't even know who the fuck you were until I looked you up later after you'd given me your contact info. So
yeah,
God bless.
I've been banned from everything there is, from banks, from credit card processing things, from Lyft apps, from anything you could think of. I've lost everything. I can't even go and get a job because I have.
I'm so
punk rock that I stood up for what I believed in, and I lost everything for it. And I have to hustle to get by, and I have to do what I can to help feed my family. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But I stood up in the face of it, toe to toe, and said, "Fuck you! I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to put that mask on. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to, drink this socialist fucking smoothie and just get all lackadaisical and turn into a goddamn retard like AOC. No, I'm going to think for myself." And I'm going to teach people around me to think for themselves and to be entrepreneurs and to be smart and to love freedom and to fear the gun and to fear God and only kneel for God and no one else. I mean, that's what we're all about. We love God. We love our family. We love our country. We love our safety. We love our ability to keep ourselves safe, and there's nothing more punk rock than losing everything that you have to stand up for something. So fuck them.
Yeah. And this is funny. The same liberals that want you to have sympathy for felons and getting rid of the question that shows up on things. This individual right here, he basically lives like a felon.
Yeah.
Right? But you have no sympathy for him because, power boys, white supremacist. I'd break bread with the guy. And what's so I don't understand
let's go ahead
about Western values.
Joe, help us clear up something for those of them out there that are still asking the question, because I see it all the time. 6MWE.
I know what it means now because I had to look it up. I never heard of it.
Yeah, me too.
It apparently means 6 million wasn't enough or something like that, like the Jews or whatever.
So I had heard from another story that it was.
I never even knew what a fucking conspiracy was until I worked at InfoWars. I mean, I didn't know what a lot of this stuff was. I mean, I'm learning all this new shit that everybody's into. I didn't even know there was like a whole conspiracy that what do you call it? The Holocaust had never happened. I'm still like baffled by a lot of this shit. I guess I'm oblivious to some of this crap because.
Well, you were on Parler today or whatever. I think it was today. Maybe it was yesterday. But you had a take on the Nashville bombing where you called some people a bunch of fucking idiots. Why don't you expound upon that a little bit?
Because here's the thing. Everybody thinks that freedom of speech means that you can say whatever the fuck you want like a retard. And yes, you can. But with everything you say, there comes consequences. And the consequences don't necessarily mean that you'll be censored, shut down. The consequences could be that everyone now knows that you've removed your foot from your mouth and you spoke, and now we all know that you're a blithering idiot. And that's what happened.
That's what's happened to me with this podcast.
This whole thing with Nashville is everybody's talking about what happened. Well, first and foremost, A, you weren't fucking there, so shut up. B, you're not a goddamn explosives expert, okay? C, you're no forensics expert. So if you're not any one of those three, you don't have anything to say. If you're not an expert on those things and understand how those things work, if you're not into it, if you've never been to school for investigations or anything like that, you have no idea what you're talking about. You are speculating merely on other things that you heard. You're a parrot. You're listening to what some other person said. It sounded good to you. You added your spin to it, so you sound like you're fucking smart. And then he heard it on InfoWars, and then Alex added his spin to it, and now it's the fucking truth. Now we did this because we wanted to stop 5G networks from spreading cancer in the air, some shit like that.
See, that one is fucking dumb, the bullshit.
Here's the thing. Guess what? I've been around the world. I've killed a lot of people. And guess what? Bad people exist. Evil exists. There are bad people out there who do things. They do things for a reason. And sometimes they're just batshit crazy people who go out to do fucked up things because I don't know why. And we'll never know why. But it doesn't mean that because we can't explain it, doesn't mean that that person went out there just to do it because they said, fuck it. I snapped that day. The guy in fucking Vegas could have just fucking snapped. But guess what? If you've ever been to Vegas as a high roller, they let you get all kinds of crazy access, like going up and down those back elevators all the time, bringing over the what the fuck you want up there, especially when you're spending the kind of money that he was. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but let's just be realistic.
Yeah.
I'm a realist. I don't sit here and go down these rabbit holes. I look at all the realistic possibilities of things that could happen. And the realistic things are when you're a high roller in Vegas, you can get any kind of access you want. You can get the biggest rooms you want. You can get whatever you want. And access to sneak shit in, because once you become that baller, you can start bringing in fucking tons of drugs, hookers, filming pornos in your place, whatever the fuck you want to do, you could do it in your Vegas room because you're a high roller. Now, we'll talk about this guy right here. He was a crazy guy who listened to shit like this, and he bought into something. He could have snapped and got so into it because his dad was so sick and said, fuck it, this is my last chance to make a difference, and just snap. That is a possibility. You know what's not a possibility? The other fucking things that we're just making up because we think it sounds cool.
Yeah.
On that note, I want to go back to somebody I was speaking with today. I speak to a lot of interesting people, as I'm sure some of you can imagine. Some of you think I'm full of shit when I say I speak to interesting people, but I'm going to tell you I speak to interesting people. Guy told me today, 10 years in special forces and intelligence, and he says that he sees it coming and he's about to snap. Now, how should we feel about that?
Uh-oh.
You say something. You talk to him. Like, what do you mean you're about to snap? What does that mean? Are you wanting to go hurt somebody?
No. This is what this guy's telling me.
Yes. So since you heard that, you go to him and go, wait, what do you mean you're going to snap?
No, I just reminded him. I said, do you have procedures in place on how to deal with insurrection within the government?
Yeah, but saying that you're about to snap could mean that he wants to go off and start shooting people. Like some people, that's what people understand. The closest people we know, every human being hits a breaking point.
Yeah.
That's why they have SEERs, Survive, Evade, all these schools where you go through all these courses, Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape, where they break you down. You're crying, you're pissing yourself, shitting yourself. They hurt you and beat you down so you can experience the maximum amount of just stress. Then they build you back up. Most people don't get that opportunity in a controlled environment to make them better and come out of it psychologically more fit, so to say. So when a normal everyday Joe reaches that breaking point and they snap, they can do whatever the fuck they want because they feel like there's no more fear of dying. That's a dangerous person. The person who's scared of not dying is one of the most dangerous people in the world.
How do you feel about the boomer crowd in DC, Joe?
I don't really know. I just think there's idiots and there's not idiots. It doesn't matter about the time frame that they came in. There's retards everywhere. There's geniuses everywhere.
So yeah, there's plenty of retards on both sides. Would you say that? Because I've observed that. There's
dumb people everywhere. The young people right now, it's just hubris. Say, "Oh, I'm so much smarter now. I've got an iPad now, and I grew up with this. Yeah, and I can get on 4chan and 8chan. Yeah, I'm smarter than you."
It's like, if it were 1860, I would have been anti-racist. No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, you're also jerking off your cartoons, your anime in your mom's basement, man. Like, just fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. Boy. And it kind of to dovetail on that, like, everyone's. I mean, what is it? Like the old adage from like season 2 of like Daredevil. Like everyone's one bad day from becoming the Punisher. Yeah. And the simple thing is, no one ever snaps. There's always precursors. No one ever just snaps. There's always a precursor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That guy said, I'm about to snap.
He was talking about some crazy shit.
That's in my terms. Let's just clarify that. That was me paraphrasing into my stupid vernacular, man.
But if someone said, "Hey, I'm about to snap," the next question should be, "Why you want to snap, and what are you going to do if you do snap?" And some people will just tell you. Trust me. Being an NCO overseas in combat, I've had guys coming to me and go, "I'm about to snap," and then they fucking grabbed a gun and then we tackle and beat the shit out of them. Like they were like literally about to snap and start shooting. Don't tell you. People will tell you.
Fair enough. I've never experienced that, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah, people rarely just in the moment they snap, but they're always precursors.
Yeah. It's not like
but going back to all your experience, what do you think about the Department of Defense right now? How split is it?
They want to bring women into combat, so you're stupid. Women, sorry, they're just not genetically qualified to do the things that we do as men. They're wired differently, they have different strengths, and that's not one of their strengths. Not saying that a woman can't go and do that, but every time that we have them pass something and they're ready to be a ranger, ready to be a SEAL, the standards were lowered to make that happen. So therefore, we had standards set this way, this high, so an individual could be the best. Then we did this, and they go, "No, you're the best too." No, that's not how it works. So the DOD, the Department of Defense, is a bunch of raghead retards. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're playing politics. They're trying to be PC and cool, and that's what happens when you get a lot of officers who become high-ranking generals. They no longer become military men anymore. They're no longer generals. They are politicians. They are playing partisan politics. They are out there to push a narrative for their lord, their warlord, to get whatever it is they're done, whatever they need to get done. The fact that we're wanting to bring in people who want to be trans into the military is batshit crazy. The fact that you're going through that, you already have a mental thing going on. Then we want to add hormones that don't quite go along with their body already, which is going to create a chemical imbalance, and then they're going to fucking snap and start shooting people. Already the trans community has the highest suicide rate there is. So it's just insane that we would add that type of mentality into a situation that's already as chaotic as fuck. We need highly trained men who kill.
It has to be said at some point that there are certain things.
The military is not a social experiment.
There are mental disorders.
Yes.
I'm sorry, people. Just because you have a mental disorder does not mean that your mental disorder is somehow normal or productive or helpful to society.
Yeah, we're being told to co-sign a lot of.
We talk about the trans thing. I have friends that are trans. I'm fine with being friends with them. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But if I sit here and I pretend that it's not a mental disorder, then I'm fucking betraying my own knowledge
or science.
Yeah, and it's the truth. So basically, what you're telling us is, like, in the event that, like, we don't have to worry about military coups anytime soon, because even if they were even to attempt a military coup, they would fail because they have just been PC'd to.
Yeah.
The women
are going to trip over the dicks, and the dudes are going to slip in their own snail trail.
So Joe, obviously you believe that Trump won the election, correct?
I mean, look, all I can say is this. Look, I'm not going to get into any kind of conspiracy.
Come on, let me drag you down.
Let's just look at the cold hard facts. I've been to hundreds of Trump rallies, and there were 20,000, 15,000 people at those rallies. So packed that they had to have other areas where they'd bring out screens for people to watch overflow areas. When he goes into areas, it's like a revival. People follow, run down the convoy when he's going through. People are cheering and excited when Joe Biden comes into an area. It's like if a tree fell in the woods and you weren't there, did it ever happen? Like, that's Joe Biden. Like, Joe Biden is a dead tree that fell in the woods that nobody knows about unless someone happened to be there when it happened and they told you. Do you
ever find it disturbing the amount of love people have for Trump? Because sometimes I do.
Well, I think blind love is like that, or that blind loyalty is ridiculous. Look, he's an elected official. He's not my liege. He's not my commander. He's not. I mean, obviously, he's the commander of the military, but I mean, he's not my king or anything like that. I elected him, so I have one of the most powerful tools as a U.S. civilian, as a citizen, is that I have the power to cast a vote for the leader of this nation. So with that vote that I cast comes a lot of shit, a lot of expectations. So if you run on the presidency to build a wall, to do this and that, to make the VA better, to stop undocumented immigrants from coming in and people dying from things like that, or to take on ISIS and all that, I want you to do the things that I asked you to do. I'm not going to sit back and watch an elected official fuck up and go, well, he's still my president. No, that's not how it works. Like, he's a fuck up then if he does that.
Yeah, so
there's things about Trump that I like, and there's things about Trump that I don't like. I think as a leader, as someone like me who's led men in combat, you don't worry about what other people are saying. This back and forth Twitter battles that he has are not indicative of being a leader. The constantly downing subordinates and people that he's fired or gotten rid of is not indicative of being a leader. That's not something that you do as a leader. You tell them good job, and you say good luck, with your career from here on out, and then you bring on the next person. You don't sit here and belittle individuals because they said something mean about you. That's something that a toddler does. So there's many things that I can say that I don't like about Trump, but overall, Trump as a leader has also done many things that are good. Right now, I can tell you as a veteran, the VA system for me is the best it's ever been, and everybody I know right now. I'm getting appointments when I'm supposed to. I'm 100%. Getting seen when I need to. I'm getting paid like I'm supposed to. If I want an appointment, bam, it's done. If they can't do it, bam, it's off to an off-base area to a civilian doctor, and I'm seen. So that's been done. He said he was going to do it. It happened. Right. He said he would defeat ISIS. We have seen ISIS drop to nearly nothing. Will it come back at some point in time? Yes, almost certainly after January 20th. But
what is ISIS?
The Islamic State of Iraq,
Syria.
Let's go down the whole little bit. I got to ask you about your radical thoughts there.
It's ISIL.
I hope you don't have the COVID right now. You're coughing a lot.
ISIL. Oh no, only foggy.
I ride a motorcycle.
Call it ISIL. But I'm with Joe on this. I've said this before on this particular program.
I told you he was good shit. I told you he was good shit.
Because he didn't know how to govern. He didn't know how to rule. He didn't understand how to wield power. Period. Point blank. Throwing your subordinates under the fucking bus while keeping the snakes in-house to stab you in the back on 2 occasions for the Russian collusion hoax and for the Ukrainian BS that led to an impeachment. The first thing he should have done was he should have walked to the National Security Council and be like, thank you for your service, guys. You're all fucking fired. Because it was those motherfuckers that stabbed him in the back.
Well, he let the
I would have fired Comey. I would have fired everybody, because you have to understand when you're coming in the most contentious election where motherfuckers don't think you won fair and square, you have to understand that the entire apparatus of the swamp wanted your ass.
He let the snake in the hen house, and then he yelled at the hens.
Yeah, exactly.
I just came up with that analogy just now, but that's pretty much what happened.
That's how we do it here.
That's how we do it, man.
But that's what happened. Like, he's like, "Oh, there's fucking snakes in here. You damn hens, you're a stupid idiot. Oh, look at this guy, he's retarded. Look at this hen." It's like, hey, don't even worry about it. Let's get the snake out, and then we'll deal with these other fucking retarded hens later.
I've been trying to explain to people, having been to DC, having gone to Atlanta, then back out to Phoenix, and trying to explain to people back home just the movement and the feeling and what I feel from guys like you. And obviously we have this conversation. This is not about Trump. And people who think it's about Trump are people who have Trump derangement syndrome. It's really that simple.
There's TDS. There's Trump derangement syndrome and there's Trump devotion syndrome.
Yeah.
I think TDS is a bipartisan affair. It's always been a bipartisan affair.
Yeah, I mean, there's no politician ever that I'm going to cast a vote for that I'm just going to be like, hey, oh my God, yeah, oh yeah, I'm so happy. No, it's just like, all right, what are you doing? It's just like with a lot of these Republicans, these rhinos.
Oh, they suck.
Like Trey Gowdy. Everyone's like, I love Trey Gowdy. It's like, what has Trey Gowdy ever done besides have a really cool audio clip on Fox News? Look at his voting record. He doesn't do a fucking thing when it comes down to voting, but he says cool shit that you all like, and you post it on Facebook and Parler. And now Trey Gowdy's a patriot. Trey Gowdy's a patriot. Matt Gaetz is a patriot. Matt Gaetz is so concerned with fucking young Tell. When I see him out at events, that's all that guy's going to do, and he's going to get in trouble for being that fucking politician who's ran his fucking mouth to a honeypot and got his fucking ass lit up. I guarantee I'm calling it right now here on this show. I see him at events, and that's all he cares about doing. There's too many people in these positions of leadership that are not there to be leaders. They're not there to be representatives of their constituents, and they're not there to be a representative of the United States. And to me, this is fucking wrong. It's atrocious, and we need to get these assholes out.
So I'm going to throw it back to this idea, because when Stu Peters had me on his show, and we love Stu Peters, he broke some major news over the last few days with the affidavits and what was going on with dumping ballots in Arizona from the Department of Defense. But when he had me on his show, he introduced me as an American patriot. And I went on his show. There's like 4 million people. Obviously, we've got like 10 people watching this show right now.
Yeah!
And it broke my heart because of guys like you, Joe, and because of guys like Fury and all these men that I've known throughout my life that have really given up everything for this country. And so for him to even throw that label on me, it left me with a sense of duty. So I'd like to close this show out. And, we got about 10 minutes left. If we could talk about, what does duty mean to you? What is duty?
Well, duty is nothing without having the ability to lead and to also be a follower. If you don't understand those two things, if you don't understand good followership and how to be a leader, then duty means nothing. To be a good congressman, to be a good senator, and to fulfill your duty, you need to learn first and foremost how to be a humble individual. You need to learn that you've gone through positions in your past where you were at the bottom of the chain. And you have to remember that and carry that with you. The hardships, how hard that was, what you went through, the mockery, all that needs to remain with you throughout your entire career as you become successful. So these are things that are all very imperative to being someone who can carry out their duty, and to have that goal to be successful, and to stay total line and to do the right thing and to not bow down to evil and to the temptations are going to happen when you get in these positions. So I think it's all about being a good moral person of sound judgment that will help you do your job, which will help you to completing the duty that you've been bestowed upon to have, and I think that's something that has to be done.
Amen.
Let's wrap it.
That's what it's in. That's what they teach us in all branches of the military, man. Like the first thing to become a servant, a sergeant, a leader of men, is to learn how to follow.
And I think any man who becomes like when I was a staff sergeant, I would give other guys the day, to be me, like in the garrison, obviously not when we're like, lives are in jeopardy and shit like that. But, like, hey, like it's your, goal today special. So-and-so, you do this today. This is your duty. Do it. Be me, be the staff sergeant. What are we doing? Lead us through PT, lead us through our training today, and give men the opportunity to do it. And then when I did that, I would be that follower, and I wouldn't jump in his way. I told him he needed to figure out his problems. He needs to do everything. And then the next day I'd come back and go, look, this is what I saw, this and that. And then let's work on this together so you can grow and be better down the road. And that's what you have to do is even when you get to those positions of leadership, you still need to remember what it's like to follow. And that's going to help you be successful.
Boom. And with that, Sean, take us out of here.
I got nothing.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing him in DC. Maybe I won't, but I'll see other people in DC. We'll be covering that. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.